101 number one.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International for Thursday, the 21st of September, 2023. This is program number 1059 of the Lunchroom, and I'm your host, Calixte George Jr. Now, if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. That's our call-in number. And you can also call in via WhatsApp if you have that app. You can call in to 758-724-0008. You can also, of course, message in to that number as well on WhatsApp. Again, you can send your questions, messages, comments to 724-0008. Now, some birthday greetings for today. First, going out to Mr. Ike Blanchard. Happy birthday to you, Ike, and we do hope that you're having a wonderful day, hopefully a very restful day. Hope you're not working too hard. And also sending birthday greetings to Mr. Ramel Polius. Happy birthday to you, sir. We do hope that you're having a splendid one indeed. We also want to send some birthday greetings to Mr. Kerwin Shallery. Happy birthday to you, sir. And we do hope that you're having a splendid day. And for, of course, all those who are celebrating their birthdays today, you would have also been celebrating them with the first Ghanaian president. He would have been born on this day in 1909. That is Kwame Nkrumah. Also, the former assassinated Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was born on this day in 1954. And the British author of The Time Machine, The Invisible Man, H.G. Wells, he was born on this day in 1866. Now, a bit of history for today. Well, in the year 1792, during the French Revolution, the National Convention passed a proclamation announcing the formal abolition of the French monarchy. In the year 1915, an English gentleman by the name of Cecil Chubb, bought the prehistoric monument of Stonehenge, of course, now a World Heritage Site. In the year 1922, on this day, United States President Warren G. Harding signed a joint resolution of approval to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine. 1936, on this day, saw the Spanish fascist junta naming Francisco Franco as Generalissimo and Supreme Commander. For those of you who love The Lord of the Rings, and of course The Hobbit, it was first published, that is The Hobbit, first published back on this day in 1937, and that, of course, was coming from John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. And in 1949, Chinese communist leaders proclaimed the People's Republic of China. And on this day in 2016, 3 genetic studies published in the magazine and the journal Nature concluded that all non-Africans descended from one migration out of Africa that happened somewhere between 50 to 80,000 years ago. We now move on to our dish of the day. The Daily Dish is brought to you with the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. There's all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down, don't mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street Industries, Bosses Joe Grizzly, and Slack Street in Dufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Serving now, The Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Now, over the past few days, we've been hearing quite a bit on the matter of crime prevention. And of course, we're seeing a number of efforts at play and with the Royal St. Lucia Police Force attempting to secure St. Lucia and to ensure that it is certainly a safe place for all. And we would note that just recently there was a statement regarding the ongoing works at the Southern Divisional Headquarters of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, that is at VA4. And that building, of course, not quite 20 years old, I think. It's just maybe about 20 or 25 years old or so about. Yeah, but of course it needed significant works, including addressing air quality issues. And so that is ongoing right now. And of course, that is certainly going to be good news for the police in the South, because they have in fact been operating from limited accommodation, I think somewhere along Clark Street at one point in time. And it has certainly been not what was available and what had been made available at that Southern Divisional Headquarters. So let's hope that that can certainly come to completion very, very soon. In addition, of course, there is also another project going on, which is going to be costing, I think, somewhere in the region of, well, upwards of 30 million EC dollars for the Grosley Northern Divisional Headquarters to be responsible for the services, policing services in the north of the island. And of course, what these divisional headquarters afford is so that these policing regions can in fact have specialized units to be able to handle various assets. So things like, for instance, their own criminal investigation department. They probably would have their own traffic department or traffic unit, a lot of other services which they can then provide for a policing region. So in the case of Grosley, of course, a very large region, including Babonneau, they would be able to provide services for that. So, of course, the importance of accommodation is very important, and ensuring that the police have the necessary amenities in that regard. We've also, I think, finally seeing some movement regarding the matter of street lighting on island. I think there are some teams and crews already going ahead now and finally doing that. Now, of course, that is a matter that had been long standing. We'd recall that there was an agreement with the Caribbean Development Bank, which was supposed to have funded this entire project that got culled by the former administration. And so there was now another agreement with another company called KLED. I believe that is continuing, and the rollout of street lighting is very important for safety. Of course, there's no doubt about it that a lot of more crime happens at night than during the daytime. And so the need to have a safe environment, well-lit environments are very important for the protection of property and to discourage people from engaging in crime in broad daylight, under light. And so that, of course, is a very important move. And let's hope that, as promised, that is going to also be done with closed-circuit television infrastructure as well, as has been touted. That is, of course, very important. And you can have maybe 5,000 police officers on the streets of Castries and Grosley and Vieux-Fort and Soufrière and all across the island, and we still may not have enough police officers to be able to put on every street corner and in every area where crime might occur. And so it is certainly very important that policing patrols do need to happen, yes, but they also need to be supported by the presence of technology and the presence of being able to see things that are happening all around the island, and especially in terms of being able to get criminals as the crime is happening, or to spot potential crimes before they actually happen. It's really important to have that. And of course, what it then means, however, is that the police then need to have a lot more command and control resources. And so the job of policing is also going to be more targeted and more coordinated in that manner. Of course, good policing is obviously going to look at hot spots, but we do know the reality that crime can happen anywhere. Criminal acts can happen at any location. And quite often what we see happening, as we've seen over the past couple of months, is that it's no longer going to be in the hotspot areas. What happens is that people move out, they relocate, they find new locations, and unfortunately, we'll still see crime occurring. And so it is vital that the police are using the kind of technology that is available. Now, of course, there's the CCTV is one aspect. Of course, the quality of the resolution of these cameras is also important, and whether they can see things appropriately at nighttime is also very important. But in addition to all of that, having the necessary recognition software is also a really important aspect of the whole task, because what you can then end up having is maybe 500 CCTV points or 1,000 CCTV points all across the island. But then who's going to monitor all of them, right? And who is going to actually see what's going on? So if it is more than just becoming something where you can go back and review the tapes and review stuff after the fact, if it is going to be used for real-time interventions, you also certainly do need to have invested the software that can actually assist in terms of doing good recognition. And that, of course, is very important as well. And sometimes the recognition is facial recognition as well as plate recognition for vehicles, and all of that is becoming very important. On the matter of vehicles, that's perhaps another area that we need to sort of tighten up, and the issue of number plates. We've seen quite often a lot of vehicles have fake number plates, or they've taken a number plate from somewhere else and they've put it on the vehicle, and it's not the actual registration of the vehicle. And so that is also an area where perhaps looking at the systems in place for how those plates are actually issued may very well have to come up as well. And additional news, of course, coming from the police is that they are also going to be upping their operations in the Castries community, in the Castries area. Now, of course, for a very long time, the Castries Basin has tended to be the hotspot for criminal activity in the country, and for obvious reasons. It's the capital. It is an area that is densely populated. There is, unfortunately, it has developed in a very haphazard way as well. And so we're seeing quite often areas that have declined, have become have degraded over the years. Abandoned properties are used for criminal activity, and many other issues related to social ills. And an indication coming from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is that in a continued effort, and this story coming from the St. Lucia Times from today, in a continued effort to combat crime and violence in Castries, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, the RSLPF, has launched a series of operations today, September 21st, that saw police officers conducting searches in various communities. As a result, several individuals were apprehended for various offenses, with one significant arrest involving the possession of an illegal firearm. Earlier today, in the community of Pave, RSLPF officers took swift action and arrested an adult male and a juvenile on charges of possession of an illegal firearm. This response highlights the commitment of law enforcement to remove dangerous weapons from the streets and ensure the safety of citizens. While specific details regarding the ongoing operations are still forthcoming, the RSLPF press office is expected to release additional information in the coming hours. The police force has been actively engaging with communities and residents, emphasizing the importance of cooperation in their efforts to maintain law and order. So, of course, welcome news. Sorry, just a little bit more. It also says the RSLPF's proactive stance against crime and violence in Castries serves as a reminder of their dedication to creating a safer environment for all residents. The collaboration between law enforcement and the public remains vital in achieving this goal as the RSLPF continues to work tirelessly to uphold peace and security on the island. Now, of course, the challenges, as has been mentioned, is that it's not, well, put it this way, a police station is not always going to be where crimes are going to happen, right? A police station is merely a base of operation. And what we certainly have to see continuing is police on the ground, police on the beat, police on patrol. That's vital. And it is important that more of those types of activities continue. And it's also important that people can see the police and have confidence. And of course, other people who may want to do wrong as well are seeing the police and will, in fact, and can, in fact, deter potential criminal activity. So the police presence on the streets, in places, is very important. It certainly cannot only be about just in the downtown during the daytime or when we've got cruise ships around. It's got to be very pervasive, and it's got to be able to ensure that we are in fact providing that sense of security as best as possible. So certainly the efforts in Castries are really important. We were speaking of improvements in VA4 in terms of the police division headquarters there, and a new station up in Grosley. Certainly, in terms of the police infrastructure in Castries, that's also something that needs to be upgraded and looked at. Of course, we know the situation at play with, in fact, right now I believe the Central Police Station, as you know, is operating out of Bridge Street in a private premises. And so there is certainly need for some urgent attention regarding that matter of Castries as well. That's our dish of the day. When we come back, we'll be taking in your calls.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also glad gas and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down, don't mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses, Grosley, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Now, of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also call in via our WhatsApp number, 724-0008. And if you're trying to get us online, you should check us out on YouTube. We should be available there. We're still having some issues with our Facebook page as well as our website, so apologies for that. But hope you can get us on those other platforms. Now, the issue of climate change, the issue of the climate crisis, as it is already been pointed out, is certainly getting quite a bit of attention, and rightfully so, of late. And it is ironic because not too long ago, about 8 years ago, the world was meeting in Paris, and there were great attempts at trying to avert what was clearly and is still very much looming over our heads, and that is over the heads of every single person in the entire world. And that, of course, is the reality that our world is getting hotter, and it is getting hotter as a result of our activities, the things and the practices that we are engaging in as human beings. And it is not just about whether you are driving on a daily basis. That certainly is a contributor. And it is certainly not just about whether you're flying on a regular basis too, because that also is a major contributor. But nearly everything that we're doing requires lots and lots and lots of energy. And our energy consumption as a species has been exponentially increasing, certainly over the past 2 centuries. And it is getting greater and greater on a regular basis. Our consumption and how we are consuming things, where our food is coming from, where what the practices that we do, how far we travel on a daily basis, where we decide to relax. We go on vacations, we go on travel, but it's not about walking pilgrimages. No, it's about getting on a plane or going on a massive cruise ship. And those are the types of activities that are driving human activity. And of course, the other reality is lots of the products that we now enjoy. So it's not just about our food coming from thousands and thousands of miles away. Also, the things that we enjoy, the clothes that we wear, the shoes and apparel, and the materials that we use to build our homes. And of course, the various devices that we use, those all have to be manufactured. The products that are being used to manufacture it, whether it's the minerals that have to be mined, all of those things take huge amounts of energy. And a lot of that energy has been coming as a result of the burning of fossil fuels, the burning of oil, diesel, natural gas, whatever the case may be. Some of them are worse than others. But at the end of the day, it is all certainly contributing to this rising issue of a greenhouse gas effect, which is causing for the heating of our planet. And it is certainly a matter of conversation and debate and dialogue, which is happening right now over in the United Nations in Manhattan, in New York City, where the United Nations General Assembly is meeting. Well, the United Nations Secretary General is certainly raising the alarm about this great boil that we have found ourselves in. And I do believe that, as he has pointed out, we have opened the gates of hell. Let's take a listen to this BBC piece.
Now, we've been hearing about the announcement by the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak of what he called more pragmatic climate policies. Well, this came as the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres told world leaders that humanity's addiction to fossil fuels had opened the gates to hell. His warning came as he kicked off a climate meeting where leading polluters, China and the US, were conspicuously absent. Well, with more on that, live now to my colleague Sumi Somaskanda in New York. Hello to you, Sumi.
Hi there, Sarah. Yeah, that announcement in the UK really has come in contrast to what we have seen here in New York at the UN General Assembly, where climate change has taken center stage. The UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, has really tried to spotlight this issue as being one of the most dire facing the global community right now. And that is why he called for this climate summit today. Now, interestingly, he said in advance of the summit that he did not want to invite any countries or companies that he and his office did not deem as being serious about making climate climate emissions cuts, about battling climate change with real concrete action. I just want to read you a quote that he said in advance. He said there will be no room for backsliders, greenwashers, blame shifters, or repackaging of announcements from previous years. And apparently that actually left the bar pretty high because, as you rightly pointed out, the U.S. was conspicuously absent from this meeting. President Joe Biden, we know he's here in New York, but did not go to the summit, nor did China. Now, what the Secretary General did want to do is to get real concrete commitments from, again, companies and countries on cutting emissions or supporting developing countries in their efforts to do so. And the reason there is because developing countries have this week issued frustration about the fact that they feel the war in Ukraine is actually distracted in some ways from tackling other global crises like, of course, poverty, inequality, but also climate change. And you mentioned that really stark quote from the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, a little bit earlier. Let's listen to it now.
Humanity has opened the gates of hell. Horrendous heat is having horrendous effects. Distraught farmers watching crops carried away by floods, sweltering temperatures spawning disease, and thousands fleeing in fear as historic fires rage. Climate action is dwarfed by the scale of the challenge. If nothing changes, we are heading towards a 2.8-degree temperature rise, towards a dangerous and unstable world.
So that was indeed a very stark message from the Secretary General, an important message at that climate summit. But of course, the war in Ukraine has also been center stage today, and that is because of the UN Security Council meeting where we saw Ukrainian President Zelensky speaking. Now, the U.S. did not send President Joe Biden, but rather the Secretary of State Antony Blinken. There were some tense moments between the Russian delegation and the Ukrainian delegation. Ukrainian President Zelensky, for example, left the room when Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was speaking. And there were some interesting comments made, of course, by the supporters of Ukraine. Of course, Baltic states have been front and center as well in supporting Ukraine. And I want to speak now to one country, a representative of one country that has been really vocal in its support for Ukraine, and that is indeed Estonia, because we have Estonia's foreign minister with us now, Margus Tsahkna, who was just in the UN Security Council meeting watching the speeches there. And your country's president just spoke. Can you tell us what his message was to Security Council members?
Estonian message is very clear. The Security Council is not working because the aggression is using the veto right, blocking everything, and also it harms a lot the UN Charter. All the basic rules, all the rules what we have agreed as a global society, and it cannot be prolonged in the meaning of we need a reform as well in the Security Council.
What should that reform look like?
We must take out from the veto right this kind of decisions as connected to the aggression crimes, or the crimes against humanity, the war crimes, and also maybe to bring wider the membership of the Security Council. But it cannot work like this, and today was very important that President Zelensky was participating. He was the first speaker, and face to face with the aggressor, and everybody understood what is going on, but the situation is like we see it is in the Security Council.
But we do know, Minister, that any change to the Security Council would involve all 5 members voting for it. So how likely do you think any sort of reform would actually be?
General Assembly is the place we have to discuss. We have to discuss as well the leadership crimes of aggression, because it is obvious what has happened, and without Putin's and his troika decisions, there wouldn't be the full-scale aggression, together with the genocide, as well as the deportation of Ukraine children. More than 20,000 children are deported in the 21st century. So this is a wider problem, and I think that here in this week we reach as well to the global south and globally more to explain what is going on really.
You said yourself that the United Nations is essentially a body that is intended to prevent the sort of war of aggression that we've seen from Russia on Ukraine, but that didn't happen. So can the UN really have any power to do anything?
Of course, United Nations is a unique body when all the countries are around the table, but we have to have the guts to talk about the problems. And international law is a case law, and we have to take this concrete aggression from the Russian side against Ukraine, and we have to re-establish the international law and the basic rules, because otherwise we have no the moral or even the legal ground to talk about the authority what we have as a global society.
And that coming out of the United Nations, some coverage there by the BBC. And of course, ironic enough that in as much as there's supposed to be a focus on climate change and sustainable development, the issues of war are still coming into the fold, as well as if you just heard there that piece. Continuing to start talking about the issues with Russia and Ukraine. No doubt, of course, also exacerbating what is already certainly a very serious problem. But we're due at this time, in fact, to take in our weather report. So I think we're going to head across to that. And when we come back, we can continue that conversation.
The latest weather report is brought to you by Flo as well as Island Style Tile and Bath.
Hurricane season can be unpredictable, but your business doesn't have to be. In the face of adversity, you need a partner that goes above and beyond. Choose the path of resilience and certainty with C&W Business. Through disaster recovery as a strategy solution, C&W Business will safeguard your critical data, maintain seamless communication channels, and help you bounce back faster than ever before. Visit our website, cwcbusiness.com/myopenbusiness to learn more. Remember, a safe business is an open business.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle. Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for. That sounds perfect. I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation. I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And the latest weather report is as of 12 noon today, 21st September 2023. And the forecaster is Limwell O'Shaughnessy. Present weather at Uranora is cloudy. Present weather at GFL Charles Airport, cloudy with light showers. Present weather at Uranora Airport. Present temperature at Uranora Airport, 27 degrees Celsius or 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Last night's minimum temperature at Uranora Airport was 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Relative humidity at Uranora Airport is 88%. Wind at Uranora Airport is blowing from the north at 10 miles per hour or 17 kilometers per hour. Rainfall in the 24-hour period that ended at 8 a.m. today at Uranora Airport, 1.9 millimeters, and GFL Charles Airport, 9 millimeters. Total rainfall for the month of September so far at Uranora Airport, 39.7 millimeters, and at GFL Charles Airport, 44.9 millimeters. Sunset today, 6 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow, 5:53 a.m. Forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east near 14 miles per hour or 22 kilometers per hour. Weather partly cloudy to cloudy with scattered showers, which may be heavy in some areas and isolated thunderstorms. Marine forecast for seas in a 25-mile or 40-kilometer radius from St. Lucia. Tides for Castries Harbor low at 12:24 p.m. That's 12:25 p.m. High at 7:13 p.m. Tides for Viewfort Bay low at 1:52 p.m. High at 8:20 p.m. Seas are slight to moderate with waves 3 to 5 feet or 0.9 to 1.5 meters. Forecast for the Lesser Antilles, partly cloudy to cloudy at times with scattered showers, which may be heavy in some locations and isolated thunderstorms. tropical weather outlook, moisture and instability over the eastern Caribbean region will continue to cause periods of cloudiness, showers and isolated thunderstorms over the Les Antilles during the forecast period. A weak tropical wave located over the western tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. This wave is expected to affect our region late Friday into Saturday. Another tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 17 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. A third tropical wave located over the far eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 8 miles per hour or 13 kilometers per hour. This wave has a high chance of tropical cyclone formation during the next 7 days. And that was the latest weather forecast for today, 21st September 2023. And we say thank you to our forecast, Limuel O'Shaughnessy. Again, the latest weather forecast brought to you by Flo and Island Style Tile and Bar.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Hurricane season can be unpredictable, but your business doesn't have to be. In the face of adversity, you need a partner that goes above and beyond. Choose the path of resilience and certainty with C&W Business. Through disaster recovery as a strategy solution, C&W Business will safeguard your critical data, maintain seamless communication channels, and help you bounce back faster than ever before. Visit our website, cwcbusiness.com/myopenbusiness to learn more. Remember, a safe business is an open business.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous tiles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
It's that time to unite and show some love again at the 2023 Black Hat Peace and Unity Concert at the finals, featuring live from Sweden, international reggae recording superstar Nourishman.
Them never want see we strive, so them set all bad road in our life. Oh yeah, them never want see we strive.
Nourishman.
Persistence is to try throughout this precious time. You can't give up the fight. Jah is the way to life. All when you down and in disgrace, never let Babylon know you weakness.
St. Lucia, it's that time to show some love again with Nourishman. Saturday, September 30th at the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds. Also performing live, St. Lucian-born reggae singer Legal.
Enough of them not genuine. Them a god like politician. Grab them a use like magician. Them a yes man. Them a jump on. Them join the large speed driving.
Also performing live, Nisha, Zionomi, and more. Saturday, September 30th, it's the Black Hat Peace and Unity Concert and Grand Finals at the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds. Tickets are $40 in advance and $50 at the gate. This one will be one moment to smile. Black Hat 2023. Shoot goals, not bullets.
Who's a little man with a lot to offer? The Harris-Benz man who sells the best for less in so many colors. He's a Harris-Benz man for a better pay and a better price. Check the little man for some soft advice. If you're raining inside, outside, you'll be raining inside, outside, you'll be satisfied when you use our expense.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today. We've got about 19 minutes to go before the hour of 2 o'clock. And that number is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046, as well as our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. And just a reminder, we are streaming on our YouTube feed at the moment. I think you can just search for Radio Caribbean International, and you should be able to get us on YouTube or the lunchroom. You should be able to just search for that, and you should be able to get us. Now, of course, we've been discussing the matter of the climate crisis, the great boil, as some people are calling it at this time. And of course, the big question is what is going to happen as heat continues to become a major issue. And it's becoming an issue all around the world, but right here in the Caribbean, with our humidity, it of course is making it feel a lot hotter than what the temperature says it is. And so it certainly is having serious implications in terms of lifestyles, in terms of people's electricity bills, no doubt, as you were seeing a rise in air conditioning. We also, of course, are seeing that some countries are even discussing the possibility of air conditioning their schools. That's a conversation that I believe is already happening over in Antigua and Barbuda, where they are in fact pointing out that, of course, and you can well understand why to some degree, you've got 30, 35 youngsters in a fairly small, usually, space that has been usually just ventilated by maybe some brise soleil blocks, allowing for some natural ventilation, but it is certainly becoming pretty uncomfortable in many parts of these institutions. And so that is another conversation that is also coming up at this point in time. Well, the use of air conditioning, that's obviously on the rise, and it's a problem that the entire world is going to be dealing with at this point. And there's a very interesting piece coming out of The Economist online, and they are asking, well, how do people keep cool as the world gets hotter? Let's take a listen to this piece, but just before we do that, let's just see if we can just squeeze in at least just one call. I think we have a call coming in there, so let's try to take that call first, and then we can go to that piece.
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
Hi, good afternoon, caller. How are you doing?
Hi, not too bad. Yeah, air condition. Abroad, people are a lot of these schools are already air conditioned. You find a lot of schools in England and those places, they already have air condition, and people's houses, a lot of people already have air condition because they wouldn't go and buy a fan. They'll put air condition. If you go to New York, every windows you see something on there and like water dripping. That's air condition. That's houses. That's air condition. So air condition is a big thing already.
Well, it's a big thing in the developed world, but it still is certainly a luxury for many people in the developing world. And that's where the challenge is going to come, because I'm not too sure exactly what the data is. I'm not even too sure if we have data on air conditioning ownership in St. Lucia. It's not one of the things that they collect data on for the census, but
as well.
It's
MNC Home Depot. I remember they used to sell it there.
Yeah, no, it's sold and stuff. There's no getting it from that. But in terms of the actual prevalence of it in residential settings, yes, in commercial settings, it's yes, but then in residential settings, it has not been so prevalent. In the case of St. Lucia. But as you find that these matters, as it's going to be getting hotter and people are going to want to get air conditioning, but of course that means that you're speaking of high electricity bills as well. So
Yeah, you'll pay more for your electricity bill, but it's comfort. It's very comfortable if you have air condition in your house, But again, the weather is not. It's getting worse. Look at what happened in Libya, and then the earthquake in Morocco. Now people dying by the thousands, not the hundred, by the thousands.
yeah, although in both those instances, I suppose we can't really quite attribute that to climate change.
But just before that, Turkey as well, the earthquake in Turkey.
Well, yes, but we're also seeing in a lot of other places the deaths that you're not even hearing about, issues of people dying of heat stroke and people dying because of issues of drought and problems of loss of crops. And so there are a lot of these areas where we're not even hearing too much about it. But
well, what you say is very, very true. It's a long time ago I saw a program and they tell you there's places on earth where people cannot live. People cannot live. It's so hot and the trees dying and everything, but as if they're holding it, they're hiding it from us.
Well, I'm not sure. When you say they're hiding it from us, I'm not.
They don't show you. They don't show you. There is places in South America and places like that, and they don't bring it out to tell you well because people will get frightened to see places where people cannot live on earth.
Well, there's certainly a lot of very difficult areas around the world. I mean, desert areas certainly, where people and the interesting thing is that you will say so now, but then you'll find that some people have adapted to these environments, over the many hundreds and sometimes thousands of years. So, but then the way that they do so, of course, is it has its limitations, and they still will be very sparsely populated. But when we're seeing
in Spain, there's places in Spain people live underground,
Well, yeah, and there are some areas where caves are once very popular.
Caves,
and
they live in caves. Plenty people. They won't put a house. If they put in a house, they'll dig down.
Mm-hmm.
And then build the house.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how humans have adapted over the years to try to deal with climates and climate change that has come our way. But I think what we're dealing with now is the shocks of it and how quickly it's happening too. There may not be that opportunity to adapt fast enough, and that's really the challenge that we're facing.
But what I'm thinking of, planet Earth made out of 70% water and just 30% land. So we having so much rain sometimes. Where that all the water, all that fresh water is going?
Well, the problem that you're faced with on a global scale is that, yes, you've got, as the world is getting hotter, it's having an impact on the seas as well. A lot of the heat is actually absorbed by the oceans. So the oceans are also getting hotter.
They talk about that. The ocean, some places, the water is just as if it's something it was boiling.
So even for the marine life, it's becoming a problem, and coral reefs.
It gets too hot. The fish.
Exactly. Well, there are issues on the fish.
When I grew up in St. Lucia, we had something you call flying fish, and we had that every day in St. Lucia. Now, for years, people don't see not even one. And we had that thing they call a fish that we used to call douan. They used to hold it near Brazilian places there. But every day under the sun, we had douan in the market. Now people hardly see that once a year.
I'm not even familiar with what Doan is. In fact, I've never.
I think it's the one you'll call. We had jackfish, and that one.
Okay.
We had jackfish, and then the Doan. Well, the Doan is not the name in English. That is a Creole name. Everybody used to say Doan.
Okay.
But I think what it is. I had know what it is. But that Doan there, we had that a lot in St. Lucia, and all those things just disappear from St. Lucia. It's the water. It's the water that causing those fish to just disappear. Jackfish, big jack, we call it. That was something, again, you have nearly every day in St. Lucia. Market full of big jack. And big jack just stay and disappear. It's the water situation, the sea, that's changing, and the fish is moving out.
Yep, and what does that mean, caller? It's going to be more difficult for fishers. It's going to be more difficult for
will have to go a lot
people who
further.
depend on the sea for their livelihoods. It's people
The Doan is what we call mackerel.
Oh, okay.
I know it, but it just slipped from my mackerel.
I see. Okay, yes, I see.
You could that salt, like a lot of it used to come in St. Lucia from Holland. Salt mackerel.
Yeah. Thanks very much for that contribution, caller.
Okay, then.
And have yourself a wonderful day. And of course, the number to call in is 4523046. I'm not too sure that we're going to have enough time to actually get through with that piece, but maybe we could at least start it, and then maybe we'll have to play the balance of it tomorrow. But it's a very interesting piece about the challenges that the world is facing right now in terms of keeping cool. Let's take a listen.
The world is getting hotter.
Oppressive heat now stretching coast to coast.
Canada, the US, Cyprus, India, Iraq and Kuwait have seen scorching temperatures in the past week.
But though the dangers of rising temperatures are well documented, less is known about the knock-on effects of keeping cool.
Air conditioning is one of the worst consumers of electricity. It heats up the planet.
At least 7% of greenhouse gas emissions come from cooling. And with temperatures likely to soar, this is only going to get worse.
The more the earth warms, the more people need air conditioners. But the more of those we have, the warmer the world will be.
Cooling saves lives and facilitates education and economic growth in the world's hottest countries. It also brings huge environmental risks. So how can we keep cool without warming the planet?
Yes, quiet is the word for this new 1954 RCA air conditioner.
Air conditioning and refrigeration systems changed the world. They fueled economic expansion, transformed how food and medicines are stored and transported, and helped save thousands of lives. But in doing so, they've become a major contributor to global warming.
Air conditioners are bad for the environment in a couple of ways. Together with electric fans, they already account for around 20% of the total electricity used in buildings.
America is one of the biggest culprits. The electricity it uses for air conditioning is equivalent to the total electricity consumption of the continent of Africa.
The problem with air conditioners guzzling so much electricity is that much of the world's power grids are still fired up by fossil fuels, like coal, and so it contributes to the greenhouse gas problem in a very big way.
What's more, most air conditioners and fridges use man-made gases, such as hydrofluorocarbons, or HFCs, as a cooling medium. These gases have a tendency to leak into the atmosphere, where they are thousands of times more potent at trapping heat than carbon dioxide. And demand for air conditioning is still rising.
A big reason is urbanization, as populations around the world come out of poverty and into modest or middle-class lives. One of the first things people want to buy is an air conditioner.
Currently, there are some 2 billion AC units in use around the world, most across just a handful of countries. But in the tropics, over 90% of the 3 billion or so people who live there have yet to buy an AC unit. As temperatures and wages rise, demand for AC is predicted to skyrocket. By 2050, around 2/3 of the world's households could have air conditioning, which means, without policy intervention, emissions are projected to rise by 90% above 2017 levels by the year 2050.
We have to find a better way, a more energy efficient and climate friendly way of cooling the Earth's population, or else this is going to be real trouble in future.
The race is on to solve the cooling conundrum, with innovative new methods being trialled, from technology to make air conditioners more efficient to completely eradicating the need for HFCs at all. One company developing a radical new method for cooling is the Stanford University spin-out called SkyCool.
So today we're on a roof at a supermarket and we're deploying SkyCool technology with their refrigeration system. So our technology works by using the sky itself as a heat sink. And so whether it's sunny out or not, day or night, the sky is very cold. And what our technology is able to do is use that cold upper atmosphere to cool things on the surface of the Earth with no input electricity. And so by orienting these panels towards the sky, they're able to send out more heat than they take in from our atmosphere.
Sounds, well, pretty cool. But SkyCool, so far, has only been installed in a handful of places, despite having plans for more.
Innovation is fantastic, but as with the latest iPhone, the poorest people in the world are not likely to get the latest kit. They'll be the least able to buy those efficient, innovative models that are now coming out.
Nascent technology like this can't be relied upon alone to provide affordable cooling on a mass scale. More solutions are necessary.
So there's a lot to be said for reducing demand for mechanical cooling in the first place through improved buildings, better urban design, and nature-based approaches.
Designing buildings so they don't need air conditioning may be part of the answer. After all, that's how it was done before AC was invented.
Pre-World War II, buildings were designed to be passively cooled. They had windows that opened. They looked at ventilation and how it moved through the building. And our standards of comfort were a little different.
Between 1946 and 1955, nearly 1.5 million homes were constructed every year in America. This building boom brought about cooling complications.
Post-World War II, we see this explosion in the use of air conditioning in buildings. The race for skyscrapers takes over. Who can be the tallest? Who can be the biggest? It becomes a competition. We can't open the windows at those higher heights, so now these hermetically sealed buildings require even more cooling load.
But today, innovative building design is providing solutions to keep buildings cool without relying on air conditioning. This floating office in Rotterdam, which houses the Global Centre on Adaptation, is a green architect's dream. It's powered off-grid, heated by solar panels, cooled by the river beneath it, and made mostly from wood.
So let's go inside and I'll show you how it works. So here we are actually inside the floating foundation of the floating office. And what we see here is actually all the technology that we use to cool the building. We use the concrete of the barges, and we do that by pumping cooling liquid through pipes that are in the concrete. The ceiling is a cooling ceiling, so through the ceiling actually there's the same pipes that are also going through the concrete. So the water is actually, in these pipes is actually cooled by the concrete, and then it's actually being pumped through the ceilings.
The Global Centre on Adaptation is the largest floating office in the world. But although its exact cost isn't known, it's rumoured to have been expensive to build. And with Rotterdam's average summer temperature only around 18 degrees Celsius, some might argue that keeping a building cool in this climate isn't hard.
Projects like the Global Centre on Adaptation are impressive, and they're great that they exist, if only for their standout technology and their beautiful design. But what we need are scalable, deployable solutions that are affordable that we can do everywhere.
In Cairo, Egypt, where temperatures regularly surpass 35 degrees Celsius, the need for scalable and sustainable cooling systems has never been more urgent. the heat stress that we are facing is a real wake-up call. Sarah El Batouti and her company eConsult were recently awarded funding from Ashton, a climate solutions charity, for their innovative cooling designs.
So you can imagine how much material we now have.
She takes inspiration from traditional cooling techniques that have been used by communities for centuries.
If you go to desert communities or communities in rural Cairo, you're astonished by the level of cooling, and they do it by knowing exactly the correct ratios to build how thick the walls are.
Incorporating some of these age-old techniques in the design of new buildings can drastically reduce the need for air conditioning.
In order to avoid heat, you don't go in from desert to door immediately. You walk into an entryway that is very dark and it's
Gonna have to put that on pause for because we actually over time here already at the lunchroom, but we're gonna try to squeeze in just one call. I think we got somebody online. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom.
I suggest that good afternoon. I suggest people grow more trees around their homes if it's possible.
Oh, it's very important. Yes.
Because at least when you have the trees, at least you can. Because first of all, the fan already it brings in more heat sometimes, and it does more damage. And at the end of the day, your light bill is a lot more higher. So I try to keep like everywhere open, doors, windows, everything. But again, as they say, with criminal activities and everything, you cannot always take chances.
Yeah,
and so you do whatever, there are something to do whatever. But I believe in just having those trees around your place. Most of us don't think it's important to grow trees.
Trees are very important for the shading. Although, of course, if you're putting solar PV, it's a problem. But as well, even also the colors of your roofs. That's another major issue that.
The color walls in your house.
If you go, like for instance, to Bermuda and some countries, all the roofs are white. So it serves two purposes. One, the reflective strength that you get is it's much better if you have white roofs, but also they also do that because they use a certain material, a limestone, I think, but which is used for they collect water from their roofs as well. So it's also has a sort of a filtering impact effect. So there are certain things that we certainly do need to start thinking about to help in terms of
and help the whole country too.
Exactly.
Some of it, what we do is at the cause of what is happening to us, because that heat is unbearable now.
Well, it's a good wake up. It's more than a wake up call because I know some people can't sleep at night as a result of it too. So it's I think becoming a lot more real for people, and I guess a lot of people are just hoping and waiting for our quote unquote winter months.
But then let me tell you, talking about the winter months now, I'm speaking to my cousin, the English people, and he said they are not looking for the winter season. They are not looking. Nobody now even wants the winter season because the cost when winter comes. Some of them may not be able to keep their house heated.
Well, that's a problem right now, especially for Europe, and the cost of the natural gas is a major problem. Yeah. They're certainly not looking for it, and it's caused a lot of people to they can't figure out whether they can feed themselves or pay their gas bill or the electric bill. Yeah, so.
Talking to my family, he was telling me that, and he told me, at least enjoy the little heat.
Yeah, I suppose for them, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, then.
All right, thanks very much for that contribution, caller. Have a good one. And we're going to have to end it at this point. We'll probably have to try to take in maybe the rest of that Economist video on adaptation to the need for cooling at this point in time. But of course, it's just to give some context that, look, yes, we do want to have cooler environments, but then the solution to getting there is perhaps not using the exact same technologies that are being promoted, at least right now. It's got to be something that is climate friendly as well. That's the program for today. Hope you can join us tomorrow for another one, final one for the week. And of course, we'll be back again. I'm your host, Calixte George Jr., saying goodbye.